So this is my EART303 participatory sketchbook. For the intro module, I displayed my learning of the different art terms and styles from Olivia Jude's reading, and I included different images of these art styles. The reading also critiqued the 7+7, and I wanted to do my own critique of them. And one of the main things I learned from this module was how the curriculum needs to be flexible and adaptable for all different pace swimmers. I also included activities that the video demonstrated of using maps and space to show different visual ways to represent learning. And I learned that there is no limitations to art, and it's about the process of making. For Module 1, I reflected on the different ways to learn about the arts, such as how it can provide students with the opportunity to develop creativity and imagination, and to learn in the arts by trying different art techniques and mediums and discovering your own art style. And that we should use art as a form of expression of thought, learning, knowledge, and feelings. And I included a visual of the different multiple intelligences, and I reflected on how me being a visual learner will influence me to use visual teaching strategies in my own classroom. And I also learned how it's important to create opportunities for students to play and experiment with their creativity with different materials. For Module 2, I learned about visual literacy and visual thinking strategies, and I applied the different questions to this piece of art in order to unpack what we think the visual media is saying by identifying elements within the image, because visual media is a linguistic tool which can be used in the classroom to communicate, exchange ideas, and unpack messages by interpreting the visual. I also learned about the benefits of doodling. And I wanted to include examples of dual coding teaching and study strategies to refer back to when teaching information and learning, how to display it in different visually organized ways. I also learned about the different ways of how to do visual note-taking and how it can be used to record thinking by incorporating visuals and writing, and the different ways it can be organized. For Module 3, I was able to reflect on how Mr. Jessup and Steve from Blue's Clues inspired me to start drawing at a young age from watching them draw on TV. And I learned about the different benefits and skills that young children develop when making art. I thought the video of how students were engaged with artistic inquiry-based learning with the lion statue was a really neat way to help kids demonstrate different ways to represent their learning. I also learned about the different stages of representation and how students view and approach art in different stages and how it changes as they get older. And the video, Room 19, showed me how grade 3 students learned about famous artists and the different art styles and how to get your emotions and expressions out through art, and how much more the kids viewed art in much more depth and understanding. Then for Module 4, I learned about the different benefits and content and critical thinking that interdisciplinary arts has. And from the short film swim team, I learned how if you want to teach your students how to swim, you need to be creative in thinking of alternate ways to create ways for your students to learn how to swim if you do not have access to a pool. I learned how to go about how to teach art from Clara Liu. And I learned the benefits of STEAM. Then for Module 5, I learned about the 7+7 in much more detail. And I also learned about how impactful colors are and how we think and behave and portray how we feel. I experimented and learned about different drawing and painting skills, mediums, and styles. And I experimented with printmaking, paper sculpture, as well as collages. Then for Module 6, I learned about the various different types of art assessment techniques and how art is subjective, so it's important to have your students involved in the assessment process. And I learned about how art galleries and museums create more engaging experience for students to experience art, and the different questions and ways to critique art with your students.